Going to a restaurant in English can feel stressful when everything happens quickly. You walk in, someone greets you, another person asks about drinks, and suddenly it is time to order. Today, we are going to slow that whole experience down and make it feel familiar. Imagine that you walk into a busy restaurant with a friend. The host smiles and asks, "Table for two?" You say, "Yes, please." Then the host asks, "Do you have a reservation?" You say, "No, we don't." The host checks the room and says, "That's fine, right this way." You follow the host to your table. Then you hear, "Here are your menus." You sit down, open the menu, and start looking around. The server comes over and says, "Hi, how are you doing today?" You answer, "Good, thanks." The server smiles and asks, "Can I get you something to drink?" You are not ready for food yet, but drinks are easy. You say, "I'll have water, please." Your friend says, "I'll have a Coke." The server says, "Perfect, I'll be right back." A few minutes later, the server returns with the drinks. Then comes a very common question. Are you ready to order? Maybe you are ready. Maybe you still need another minute. If you need more time, you can say, "Could we have another minute, please?" The server says, "Of course, take your time." That is a completely normal thing to say in a restaurant. You do not need to rush just because the server came to your table. Now you look at the menu again. The server comes back and asks, "What can I get for you?" You say, "I'll have the chicken, please." Then the server asks, "What would you like on the side?" You look at the choices and say, "Fries, please." In another restaurant, you may hear, "Would you like fries or salad?" You can simply choose one. You might say, "Salad, please." Then the server may ask, "What kind of dressing would you like?" You say, "Ranch, please." Sometimes the order has more details. If you order steak, the server may ask, "How would you like that cooked?" You can answer, "Medium, please." Or you can say, "Medium rare, please." Now imagine you want to change something in the dish. You can say, "Can I get this without onions?" You can also say, "Could I have the sauce on the side?" These small requests are completely normal. The server may repeat part of your order to make sure everything is correct. Then you may hear, "Anything else?" If you are finished ordering, say, "No, that's all, thanks." The server says, "Great, I'll put that in for you." After the food arrives, the server may ask, "How is everything?" This is one of the most common restaurant questions. You can say, "Everything's great, thanks." If something is wrong, you can say it politely. For example, you can say, "Sorry, I think this is not what I ordered." Or you can say, "Excuse me, could I get another fork?" You may also need more water. You can say, "Could I have some water, please?" You do not need long sentences. Short and polite usually works best. Now imagine that you and your friend are eating and talking. The server walks by and asks, "Can I get you anything else?" You say, "We're good for now, thanks." A little later, the plates are almost empty. The server comes back and asks, "Would you like anything else?" You say, "No, I think we're good." Then the server asks, "Would you like to see the dessert menu?" Maybe you are full. You can say, "No, thanks." Or maybe you want dessert. You can say, "Sure, we'll take a look." After dessert or after your meal, it is time to pay. You can say, "Could we get the bill, please?" In Canada and the United States, you may also hear people say check instead of bill. The server brings the bill or the payment machine. Then you may hear, "Are you paying together or separately?" If you and your friend want separate bills, say, "We'll pay separately." If one person is paying for everyone, say, "Together, please." Sometimes the server asks, "How would you like to pay?" You can say, "Card, please." Then the server may say, "You can tap when you're ready." You tap your card and complete the payment. At the end, the server may say, "Thanks so much, have a great evening." You can answer, "Thanks, you too." Now let us hear the whole experience again in a smoother way. You walk in and hear, "Table for two." You say, "Yes, please." The host asks about a reservation and then shows you to the table. The server gives you the menus and asks what you would like to drink. You order your drinks, take a minute with the menu, and then the server returns. You hear, "Are you ready to order?" You order your main dish and answer a few simple questions about sides and cooking. You ask for one small change, and the server confirms your order. After the food arrives, the server checks on you. You say that everything is great. Later, you ask for a little more water. When the meal is finished, the server offers dessert. You decide to skip dessert and ask for the bill. The server asks whether you are paying together or separately. You pay by card, tap when you are ready, and the meal is done. That is a normal restaurant experience from beginning to end. Most of the English is not complicated. The same questions appear again and again in restaurants. Table for two, are you ready to order anything else? And how is everything are all patterns worth recognizing? The more often you hear them, the less you need to translate them in your head. That is the point of this listening practice. You are not trying to memorize a script. You are training your ears to recognize the situation quickly. Listen again another day and notice which phrases start to feel automatic. The next time you walk into a restaurant, the conversation may feel much more familiar. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next real-life English episode.